I've got numerous aircraft operating in the vicinity of Middle Island to Catlian or Halleck Point area.
Well, herring fishing vessels, companies, tenders that are participating in the sacro fishery. This is WTH-71 Stellar. Please stay off this channel at this time. Please stay off the channel at this time. We're approaching the countdown.
Every year in mid-March, things get a little crazy in Sitka, Alaska. This is herring season, and fishermen will battle for a few short hours over one of the sweetest catches in the world. Millions of dollars can be made for the ones who play the game right. During the days before the fishing frenzy begins, the fleet converges in this sleepy island town. Factory ships, seiners, tenders, and hordes of eager fishermen arrive. The herring are here to spawn. Soon they will crowd into Sitka's coves, rubbing their bellies along the rocks and leaving layers of eggs in the seaweed. The trick is to catch them before the spawning begins. The prize is herring roe, and it's destined for Japan, where the tiny golden eggs are a delicacy. Orchestrating Sitka's sac roe fishery, as the mad scramble for herring is called, is biologist Bob DeYoung of the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. He's the one who decides when to let the fishermen loose in Sitka Sound.
Well, look pretty quiet today. Not much activity at all. No herring we're seeing or spawn occurring, so I think the fishermen are going to be on hold for another day.
The herring are gone in Japan for complex reasons. Overfishing is the primary one. It's DeYoung's job to see that doesn't happen here, but he's also responsible for the commercial success of the harvest.
The sacro fisheries are probably some of the most lucrative fisheries in the world. You know, where else could you make $7 or $8 million in 1986 in 3 hours and 10 minutes?
If DeYoung waits too long to open the season, the fish will spawn and the catch will be lost. If he calls it too early, the roe won't be ripe and the fisherman's profits will be low. Every day, the players meet to get briefed on the sexual inclinations of 250 million herring.
I'd like to just begin this morning with going through the aerial survey that I did this morning, and then get into the test results, both yesterday and today's results. In my opinion, we're extremely close to a major spawn. Now, I know a lot of you disagree with me that we've got 50, 60 miles of spawn, but very few of you have stayed behind and watched what's happened here when these things get going. It's a 2-day period. That's all you got. 2-3 days, and a major spawn occurs in Sitka Sound. When it happens, it goes.
Are we missing?
Neil McDonald's what they call a highliner, a fisherman who always gets a good-sized haul. Today, he's out test fishing, catching a few samples of herring for the biologists to analyze. Neil fishes for salmon and crab the rest of the year, but herring roe will give him the only chance to earn $100,000 in a single afternoon.
We're looking for a good-sized school here, so we just ran over a nice big one, and now we'll try to run back over it. Now it's just starting to come back up on the meter there, so let's get on it and kind of see which way it goes and how big it is, and then we'll make a haul here.
Anytime.
Neil's wife, Judy, has always been part of the crew. For her, and for the rest of the deckhands, this is like a dress rehearsal for the chaos of the real fishery.
When the countdown starts, when it gets about 2 minutes, those are really long 2 minutes. Those are forever. And that's, they say, you know, and when they get down to 1, you know, then it's just a matter of a split second. You have to be ready to get the jump on it.
I've been fishing here about 15 years now. There really weren't very many women fishing when I started. And there weren't any in the herring.
Jobs in the Sitka herring run are profitable and hard to come by. Bruce Merifern grew up in a fishing town, and it took him years to earn a place with a captain like Neil.
He is a screamer. It's been good. Luckily, he's got a lot of experience behind him, so he's a real proven fisherman, and it's, you know, it's a pleasure to work with someone like that because the paycheck follows you home. I've seen as much as cruise shares as high as $25,000, $30,000 on a good day.
People that know Neil say he is part fish. That's why he's successful.
Big fat sucker fish. You gotta think like a fish or be like a fish. You gotta think what they're doing and kind of outsmart them.
When herring get spooked, they tend to dive for the bottom. That means a big school can pull the boat right over, unless the captain's fast enough to cut the net.
Oh, they'll roll out.
That's the roe. Now this is what we're selling. This is the quality. Yeah. That's the gold. That's a good set.
No fishing boat would seem complete without a wake of hungry birds. Here in Alaska, it's eagles, bald eagles, that do the scavenging.
About 100 of them around here. They're really performing. I think they're all hams. They get like pets. Look at that. Oh, isn't that exciting? We're here trying to make money. They're here just to survive.
In the days before the season opens, biologists make the rounds, collecting samples from each net. The roe and the females will be checked for ripeness. The samples provide clues to the guessing game that has everybody here obsessed. When will the herring spawn, and when will the fishery open? It's also the future of the herring that's at stake. Several years ago, stocks were so low the fishery was closed. Now, officials put a strict quota on the catch, and only 52 boats are allowed to set their nets. Biologist Dennis Blankenbeckler is here every year to monitor the herring population.
If you have smaller fish here, that means we have new first-time spawners or new recruits, and they're the fish that are going to provide the spawn in the fishery in the future. If you don't have small fish, very simple, then the population is going to either be stable or it's going to go downhill.
What's good for the herring may not be good for the fishermen. This year, there are too many young fish in the mix. Despite a promising future, that means less roe and less money for now.
First of all, you got to be out of your mind to be a herring fisherman, because you have to pay about $300,000 just to buy the permit to get into the fisheries.
Haida Indian Greg Johns has one advantage, a ready-made crew of 4 strapping sons who've been fishing ever since they could walk. Just to be fair, he's named the boat after his daughter, Deborah Ann.
You betcha, boy. Those are the nicest kids in the world. I enjoy them. We all grew up together. And like I say, wherever I go, them kids are always with me.
I like more area for water.
Greg's sons double as emergency mechanics for a broken pump aboard the Deborah Ann's tender.
You don't get it fixed, you don't go fishing.
All right, it worked!
During the wait for the fishery to open, there's still a chance to harvest herring roe in the traditional Native American way. Drop a tree in shallow water, then wait a few days. The fish will come along and coat the branches with their sticky eggs.
That stuff is caviar and then some.
After a few seconds in boiling water and a dip in hot oil, the eggs are ready to eat.
You're gonna be a full-blooded Indian to eat this stuff, okay?
Or you could be Japanese. Each year, teams of technicians come all the way from Japan to scrutinize the roe for ripeness. Only the highest quality will do. The tiny golden eggs retail for up to $35 a pound. But that price doesn't stop Japanese consumers who buy up thousands of tons each year.
We call it kazunoko, salted herring roe, consumed in the New Year's holiday.
The Japanese can't resist a taste of Kaznoko whenever they can get it. But its most important destiny is the New Year's celebration, where it's more than just a delicacy.
Kaznoko means more children. So we eat them for get more children, like a kind of traditional custom in Japan.
Another day is gone. The herring are ripe, but waiting offshore. And still, the fishermen are on hold. The riskiest job belongs to the spotter pilots. They team up with the boat captains for a cut of the day's profits. When the fishery opens, more than 30 planes will be stacked in a tight spiral over the boats below. It takes a cool head to buck bumper-to-bumper traffic in the air. Though Sitka has yet to see a collision, other fisheries haven't been so lucky. Gary Winnup flies for Greg Johns.
Every year, if you have a close call or a bad year, you swear you'll never do it again. The next year rolls around, the price is up or the quota's up, and you're right back out there doing it again.
Every day before the season opens, Gary cruises the coastline, hunting for the dark shadows of herring schools below. It's been a week since the fishery went on alert. De Jong's getting worried he'll be caught off guard by the herring.
Now we're current at halibut point.
But the fishermen pressure him to wait. They want riper roe and the extra profit it brings.
It's my personal feeling right now that we do have intense spawning occurring around Cassian Island. If we delay much longer, I would say there's a very, very strong likelihood that we could possibly lose this fishery. I know a lot of you people aren't concerned about it, but if this fishery's lost, who do you point the finger at?
Well, I guess what we have here is we have 52 different permit holders, and everybody's got an opinion of when these fish are going to spawn, when they're going to do this, when they're going to break away, and that's a really hard thing to have to mull all this through your mind.
I'm having about as much fun as beating my thumb with a hammer at this point.
Forecast for Sitka vicinity. Today, patchy fog this morning, otherwise light winds, high in the mid-40s.
It's a rare, clear day in southeast Alaska. Some mysterious instinct has triggered the herring for miles up and down the coast. De Jong makes up his mind early.
And I'm really concerned right now that if we hold off, we're not going to get anything out of this fishery. So it's my strong recommendation at this point to fish today at noon.
Before the countdown begins, boats race out to the fishing grounds. Most everybody's hoping to stake out a school and stay with it till the fishery opens.
We gotta be a wild man till it's all over. You're just like Jekyll and Hyde. One minute you're Jekyll, next minute you're Hyde, or something, whichever it goes. I don't know how it goes.
When you get down to 2 minutes is when it's really just like forever. It's 2 minutes go on for hours. It's the longest 2 minutes of your life until you finally start fishing.
Any idea how long they'll be allowed to fish. It could be 4 hours, it could be less than 1. It all depends on how fast the fleet hauls in the 3,600-ton limit.
Victoria, in the middle of another one.
Only 4 hours and 10 minutes after the countdown, de Jong makes the inevitable announcement.
The Enforcer, this is WT-871 Stellar. The Sitka Sound Sacro Fishery will close in 15 seconds. Stand by for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Sitka Sound Sacro Fishery is now officially closed.
Got a few. Real few. Watch that spark back. We got some that we didn't come closer.
It was a pretty good day. We had better than 80 ton. As it is, we got good herring. Well, I'll go home, call my wife, tell her how great we did. The kids will call their wives. And then I'll talk to my grandchildren, because those kids are waiting to go fishing with me.
The spawning season has always been the time of utmost vulnerability for the herring. Even without the clamor of a fishing fleet, many of the eggs would fall victim to natural predators. Trillions upon trillions of eggs will hatch this year. It's a record spawn, stretching more than 100 miles along the coast. Thanks to the stewardship of Alaska's conservation-minded biologists, many of the herring will survive to become part of the sea's bounty.